credit expansion. So this is what would give parents, well, certain parents, more money on their tax returns, so bigger tax refunds when they file. It would give more money to corporations as well. Can't forget about that. So right now, this new bill, it's causing chaos with the politicians in DC. That's because you have a pile of $80 billion, right? And all the politicians are circling around it, just mouth-watering, like a pack of hyenas or vultures circling around fresh meat. So that's how I would best describe it. So let me give you the details of what's going on. But before I begin, I want to clarify who this will affect. So if this does not affect you, so if you're not going to be affected, then you could stay for the drama so that you could tell your friends, your family, your coworkers, whoever you want to share this with. But if you're going to be affected, then yes, this is going to be very important because it's about your tax filing and your refund. So the people that will be affected depends on your filing status. So this is with the IRS, whether you're married filing jointly or if you're head of household. It's going to depend on how many children or qualifying dependents that you have. And it's also going to depend on your income. So honestly, it is a tight income range. In my previous video, I gave you those income ranges based on your situation. But ultimately, a lot of parents are going to be left out. There are about 70 million children in the US. The families of 19 million children will qualify for the additional money. So what does that mean? So roughly 10 million parents will qualify for that additional money. But that means that tens of millions more of parents will not qualify. There's going to be more parents that do not qualify than qualify. Now, with that being said, here's the status updates. The politicians are trying to get this bill passed by January 29th. That date is important because that's when the IRS starts accepting tax returns, January 29th. If they can pass this bill by then it's going to be a much smoother process. Because if they pass this bill, let's just say in February, then there's going to be millions of Americans that file their tax returns with the old rules. They're not going to get the additional money. It's just going to be chaotic. It's going to cause a lot of problems, and it's going to be a disaster for the IRS. And the 29th, January 29th, that is so close. We have one more full week, and then it's the 29th. And currently, all the politicians are trying to tweak this bill in their best interest. That's everyone except the far-right Republicans. So they're the only ones saying that no, they're going to vote. They're not going to vote in favor of this. They're going to vote no, no matter what. That's what they're saying. So they're the only ones that are not trying to tweak this. But everyone from the center right, so center right all the way to the very left, they're trying to modify this to what they think would be in the best interest of this country. But the House of Representatives has made it clear that they plan to get this onto the House floor next week to vote on this and pass it. Can that be accomplished? That's a very good question. You could be the judge of that based on what's happening right now. I'll just tell you this. It's so bad right now that even the White House, so I'm talking about President Biden, is pushing for larger amounts of money for all parents. So even he, President Biden, the whole White House administration, they want tweaks to this as well. So I'm talking about more money for the families of all 70 million children, not just the 19 million. The White House wants to give an additional $1,000 per child by upping the child tax credit from $2,000 to $3,000. So that's what the White House wants. The Republicans, so Senator Thune, for example, he said there are certain items in this deal that shouldn't be in there. So he wants things taken out. Democratic Congressman Jimmy Panetta told the Republicans that they want to add more things in. So I'm telling you, everyone is looking for modifications. But the Senate and House leaders are trying to rally their parties to just get this bill passed. For example, Hakeem Jeffries, who's the leader of the Democrats in the House, he's saying that, in my assessment, it is clear that the child tax credit does not go as far as it should, but this deal is better than nothing. So Jeffries is basically saying that something is better than nothing. And the leaders of the Senate and the House, they put together an informational sheet to help sell this idea to the politicians, to the ones that are not fully persuaded. So it's basically like a sales pitch, and it says that If we do not give the corporations their tax breaks, then the economy will lose 1 million jobs. So they're using fear. They're using fear to sell this. Do you want a bad economy? Do you want higher unemployment? Do you want to lose out to China, right? Things like that. Their sales pitch also says that if we give the corporations $40 billion, so listen to this. If we give the corporations $40 billion, then they will grow the corporations will grow the economy by $600 billion. I didn't check the math on that one. I'm not going to because it just sounds ridiculous. I'm not going to waste my time doing so. So that's the sales pitch. American families will get more money and the economy will be stronger. So it's a win-win. But as I was saying, there's just so many people that are left out. The majority of parents will see no benefit, right? People without children, without qualifying dependents, they get nothing. Seniors get no help. And I just want to keep it real. Let's be honest here. The majority of the economic benefits for the corporations will end up in the pockets of the executives and the big institutions that are the shareholders. I'm just trying to keep it real here.
Got a 1099 or a side?
Real here. Now, I want to read you this statement. This is coming from Rosa DeLauro, House member from Connecticut. So these are quotes, very strong words. And the statement says, this agreement lacks equity, providing a massive tax cut to big corporations without offering middle class and working class families true economic security. What's on the table fails children and families. And the idea that we have to evenly split the pot with poor children is absurd. This is especially insulting when you consider that many of the largest corporations pay little to no tax. Yikes, right? Okay, so here's what I can tell you about all this. If you don't have qualifying children, then again, this is not going to affect you. So you can file your taxes just normally. You don't have to wait. If you do have children, if you do have qualifying dependents, then I would say if you're in a rush to get your tax return filed, just submitted, then check your tax return. If you're getting a child tax credit of $2,000 per child, then you will not be affected and there's not going to be a reason to wait around to submit it. If you are not getting a child tax credit of $2,000 per child, so if you don't get the full amount, then do not file your tax return yet. And again, this is going to affect the families of 19 million children, so a lot of people will be affected, millions of people. Now, I know some people are hoping for this, and you may wait around for this, just in case, but I think that this is far-fetched. Will the politicians increase the child tax credit from the $2,000 to the $3,000 or even $3,600? Honest opinion, honest assessment is that no, they will not. At least not this time, not for last year's tax return. They're not going to do it. It's not going to happen because they have $80 billion to play with. If they raise the child tax credit amount, it's going to go well above $100 billion. You're talking about close to $200 billion, a package like that. So that's not happening. So I'm going to keep you updated. They're trying to get this onto the House floor next week. They're trying to pass it, vote on it, pass it by January 29th. It's chaos right now, but I'll tell you, the power of the corporations and their money